Goldman Sachs has raised their gold target to $2,900 an ounce by early 2025. Call the proud Americans of the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Mention the Still Report, and you'll always get best-in-class service from Patriots Protecting Patriots. Patriot Gold Group has the no fee for life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold and silver on qualifying rollovers. Call 888-869-9656 for a free investor guide today. Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs top-rated gold IRA dealer 7 years in a row. Call 888-869-9656. Good evening. I'm still reporting on the Trump assassination attempt #1 with the Binneys. I've known the Binneys for a long time. Bill Binney is an old NSA hand. NSA is the National Security Agency. That's the ultimate when it comes to electronic interception, analysis, and storage of spy communications. He worked his way up to having the daunting title of Technical Director of the World for the Geopolitical and Military Analysis and Reporting Group. And at the NSA, that's about as high as security classifications go. He turned whistleblower when he saw NSA moving into an area that clearly violated constitutional guarantees of our republic. I've interviewed him many times in the past, but I wanted to get a situation update as we near Trump's return. And by the way, I just want to apologize to my nephew Richard, who stopped by from way out of town at another relative's house, and he wanted to say hello. And I just got so tied up in this Bill Binney interview that I did not break away. I just wasn't thinking. I'm so sorry, and please remember me next time. So anyway, what's going on with you all?
Did you tell Bill about the trip to Mar-a-Lago?
Nope. You go ahead.
Yeah. So
She took a trip to Mar-a-Lago.
well, we should probably back up and give you the backstory of all this. So what happened is that after the assassination attempt in Butler, I started investigating, and within 12 hours, I found people in the crowd who ducked before everybody else. So clearly, we can even show you the footage. They clearly had foreknowledge that shots will be fired. So it's something to duck from. So to give you an idea, one lady, there's two women in the center bleachers behind Trump, and one lady ducked completely before Trump's hand even touched his ear.
Was this the lady who was sitting, as you're looking at her, just to the right of Trump?
That's the other one.
That's
the
the
one
other
who
one.
was the one with the black hat who was filming. That's the other one. That one was spotted by Mark Wallace, the CEO of Twitter. That's at least I saw his tweet. He was watching Fox News, and it's the Fox News camera angle that has her perfectly. But it's not just that she was filming. She also nodded into the camera a moment before this happened, right? I can show you if you allow me to share the screen. I can show you the footage I'm talking about. But it's
that's fine. That's fine, because I noticed it too. But then something came out later that made me doubt my perception.
You shouldn't doubt your perception. It's still on. So the more I investigated, the more came out. Eventually, I found, so I should put it into context. So I started investigating 20 minutes after Trump was shot, pretty much. I said to Bill, I'm not going to sleep until I have found smoking gun evidence that the intel agencies were involved. And, after watching everything that there was to watch and studying, I never fired a gun. So I had to listen to hours of subsonic versus supersonic to be able to tell apart the shots, because the sound profile of some of the shots was also off. But anyway, eventually, in the next morning, I found these two people ducking. And what it concretely is that when the intel agencies do anything, any false flag operations or any ops, they have minions who have monitoring functions, notifying functions. If something goes wrong, they have to notify others covertly with hand signs, or to try to keep it offline and out of the telecommunication systems that Bill can tell us are all being recorded and stored for posterity. So when you investigate specifically with the objective of proving it's the intelligence agencies, you can look for these minions. Some of them are not the brightest bulbs, and try to catch them when they give the game away. And that's exactly what these two people were. So I found them Sunday morning at around 6 or 8 a.m. And then on Monday, I gave a presentation to Professor Fetzer, and on that panel was also a former Secret Service guy. So it was a fairly, high profile discussion. That was on the Monday. On the following Sunday, I received a death threat in the form of a playing card. And this will become relevant later regarding Trump. But I was walking the dogs and somebody put a playing card in my path at the point where nobody might just drop a random card. And it was the 4 of hearts. So I photographed it. I reported it to the police on the next day, Monday morning. And I know this as the Illuminati card game. The intel agencies will let you know with these playing cards. And that was as far as my understanding went. I was kind of surmising that the number 4, the fourth letter is D. So death and hearts could be death by heart attack, directed energy weapon, or death of a loved one, maybe. This is how I interpreted it. But then on September 8th or 9th, a certain True Social account that's very close to Trump, it has insider footage from behind his rallies, posted a certain clip where Trump was meeting and greeting police officers in Atlanta, Georgia. And I noticed that one of the police officers, he was wearing police uniform at least, kind of snuggled up to Trump when Trump didn't even notice he was there, and asked somebody else to take a picture with him, posing next to Trump. And on his police uniform is the Ace of Spades. I can show you this footage as well.
Oh my God.
Yes, you recognize it, right? So I basically did a quick Google, and I only noticed it the Illuminati card game, but the Ace of Spades is known as the death card.
Vietnam and Iraq.
And then I showed it to Bill, and I said, "Look, this is the same Illuminati card game as my death threat. Does this mean anything to you?" And Bill remembered that during the Iraq War, the Defense Intelligence Agency issued the so-called Iraqi deck of playing cards with their Iraqi most wanted.
I've got them right here.
You got them on your desk, right?
Yeah.
So if you look up the Ace of Spades, that was President Saddam Hussein. So President Hussein, President Trump. And what's more important even than this announcement of the death threat is the timing, because it was exactly 3 months and 3 days before. It was on the 10th of April. So from April, May, June, July. From the 10th, it's 11, 12, 13. 3 months, 3 days, 33. It's like a Masonic signature. It's a Masonic death threat. Now, why do the Freemasons have 33 levels? Because the third letter is the letter C in the alphabet, and 33 stands for CC, as in Crown Corporation, or rather in Latin, Corporatio Corona. And you can find a CC reference in like French chateaus from previous centuries, along with the Jesuit symbol. So CC, the Masons, the Jesuits, it's all one symbol class that typically goes together. So in other words, this was a kill order by the Crown or by the Masons, but they're headquartered in London. So with this information, I found this on the 9th of September. I showed it to our local police chief and the local sergeant, both of whom are former Marines, and they both recognized the Ace of Spades, just as you did, instantly.
Yeah,
it's not a pretty symbol. So I said to Bill, let's just write all this up. And I have tons of other information. I also found, for example, what I believe was the coordination sign, the all systems go sign at the Butler rally that told the shooter that he's good to shoot. After I found already
the equivalent of the black umbrella that the Kennedy hit.
Exactly, Umbrella Man, right? So the Umbrella Man at the Kennedy assassination was the last guy he passed, and yet the open
That was so obvious afterwards.
You know what the equivalent, I believe the equivalent was? It was the woman on the horse. You know about the woman on the horse at the Butler rally?
Oh, no, it was rain on me. Let it rain.
Well, yes,
Rain
let it rain
red.
at the Butler, at the Kennedy assassination, exactly. But at the Butler assassination for Trump, people noticed that oddly, there was a woman on a horse carrying a flag riding up and down the fence line in front of the AGR building. Now, the thing is, when the body, the body cam footage of the police officers was released, I could time and look exactly where this woman was. Now, just before, when people started spotting the shooter, she was, as you look from Trump's direction, to the left corner of the AGR building, where the building drops below ground. There was a little mound. So she was sitting on a horse on a hill relative to this, and people standing on the ground could see the shooter. Now, when you're on horseback, you can see him clear as day. I mean, you're almost eye level with him. And then she was also very holding up a flag. What happened is that just before the shooter started shooting, the woman patiently is waiting in the corner. She doesn't warn anybody on horseback. You can really move and notify the snipers or alert people. She doesn't move at all. And then she rode, having seen him with the rifle in front of him with the flag slowly. Meanwhile, the police guys are running up and down in front of the AGR building thinking, what is this? So you can see on the body cam, she crosses in front of the AGR building. So as she's on horseback, her flag is parading past the shooter's frickin' face. But more than that, you can see the horse crossing from the bleachers. Hence, the lady with the black hat you mentioned, she can go, yep, all systems go. And a second later, they start shooting. But more than that, she stops briefly when she could see the police officer who pulled himself up on the roof. And his body cam shows that when he drops down on the ground and he runs around the AGR building, the woman on the horse basically parked her horse and looked at him to make sure he doesn't interfere with the shooter. And as soon as that's okay, she just turns her horse and rides as fast as possible along the fence line, which is frankly what I would do if I sit on a flighty animal and shots are about to be fired, right? But more than
You got to
that,
be really confident of your horse.
exactly.
Yeah.
But later on, after the shots are fired and the same police officer scrambles back to his police car, his body cam picks up how the lady is riding under the water tower away northwards. So I looked on Google Maps, and just a 2-minute ride away, you cross a street and a bit, and there's a horse farm right there. So if I had to guess, the lady is from that horse farm. But who would ever take a horse to a rally? How did she know that fence line is secured? You can take a horse unless she knew ahead of time. The timing of her behavior.
Stop a second. Why would they go to all this elaborate stuff with cards and stuff like that? Why?
Because for
Do they want you to be aware of it ahead of time to try to break it up? No, that's impossible. So why would they do that?
Because it's basically the kill order for Trump is communicated by other means, but they have all these minions, all these masons, all these implants everywhere, and they have to. It's kind of like signaling. Yes, it projects power. Like look, we announced it.
Everybody's got to say go.
Yeah, and then also, I mean, the actual signal for go, I think that's functional because at these attempts, these false flag operations, people screw up a lot more than we realize. We only know about the ones they pulled off where everything was perfect. So you always need a last minute, yes, it's all good, Even when you plant a bomb, you need an off switch because what if you get caught? You need to quickly hide it. So for the intel agencies to have a moment, like a method to pull back last minute is crucial. They only have to attack once. They can pick the day of the attack, and they only want to see, people see it when it works. They don't want to see them screw up.
But
now, the Ace of Spades.
They attacked twice, though.
Well, by now, it'll be almost 3 times.
Yeah. The second time was also very curious, right?
Yes.
And the guy was in place, 12 hours before he started playing? And even before the Secret Service knew he was going to play. So how the hell did they know that? Well, there's only somebody had to be privy to the conversation he had or whatever exchange he had to set up the play the next day.
Yeah, I thought of that.
So who's got it, right?
You.
The intelligence community has it.
You.
Right? Yeah.
I'm figuring Bill Binney.
I don't have it. If I had access, I could get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you had access, you could say a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's actually, that so about that, just before Trump, after he left the rally, wherever he was somewhere out west on that Friday. I think that the attempt was Saturday. So he's golfing. I think he finished the rallies on Friday on the West Coast or somewhere in the desert. And then there was one public release saying, Trump is leaving wherever he was, Arizona, wherever the hell he was, on the way to Utah. That was the last public message I saw. So it was announced that he would be going to Utah next. In fact, he flew back to Florida and had a golfing appointment with Whitcock the next day, which I'm sure they communicated by phone, email, message, something.
This doesn't have to be a mystery. It's the number 2 guy at the Secret Service. He's just as dirty as they come. I guarantee you he was in on the deal.
Yeah.
You mean the guy who's now the director?
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Gosh. I
That
mean,
youngish guy, maybe 40, 50, something like that.
yeah.
Young
The
Barack.
Yeah.
the guy who lost it in the questioning about his competence in Congress, the guy with the shouting match, that guy, Rove, right?
He's still wet behind the ears.
Well, you watch, he's going to be the first person at the door on
Yeah,
February
yeah.
20th. I
Well,
guarantee you he'll be the first one out the door.
Now that Ray left, yeah.
Yeah.
So about the Christopher Wray leaving, we have more news. So this was just the building up to it. So there I am, right? To my knowledge, I'm the only person who publicly talked or even just talked on telephone, etc. Noticeable to the FBI about the Ace of Spades. And that's kind of crucial because in all of this, you can put faces to the crime. So the police officer who has the Ace of Spades sewn onto his uniform, that's not a coincidence, not typically done. The people who ducked early, the woman you talk about in the black hat who was just nodding and then filming, you can see the faces, you can find these people, and just from these few links, you can build a communication map, a network map, and basically unmask the whole thing. So it's pretty dicey for the FBI. And typically when any operation is done within the United States, if the FBI weren't invited to the party, they would get pissed off. So even if it was CIA, it is just polite, one Mason to another, to invite the people who have home
That's
rule.
why. That's why the cards. Anybody
Well,
who got the capability to start following the breadcrumbs to get close to whoever did it, if they're actually doing true investigation, they're going to start to hit these Masonic symbols, and they're going to know you're trespassing now, and you better not do it.
well, yeah, but also
Any top investigator, top investigator is going to know those symbols. Whereas just regular people like us, we might go, that's kind of weird, but yeah, I that's what's going on.
yeah, you mean they really want to scare off the people in the know?
They leave breadcrumbs to let the people who do try to follow up see that, you're getting closer to a group you don't want to mess with.
Yeah,
So go find somebody else.
Yeah, I think this
Harvey
sort of,
Oswald.
that the system, this parallel society is so vast, they have to kind of let their own people know what's actually going on. Otherwise, it's just a mess. Nobody knows what's going on, right? But they want order out of chaos, right? That's the motto of the Masons. So at some point, and also it's about cachet. It's like, hey, look, we did it. You sign it, right? Like a serial killer. They have a signature,
This is our power.
Yeah. But to give you an idea about the timeline, because I wanted to get back to Christopher Wray. So what happened is that all this is going on. I'm talking to the police, right? Our police noticed that they seem to be under surveillance because stuff is being done to us when they are not on shift, perfectly timed, etc. But anyway, different story. So I'm clearly being followed, and I'm being warned off by the FBI with the 4 of Hearts bullshit. And oh, by the way, after Bill mentioned this Iraqi card game, if you look up your card game, who the 4 of Hearts is, it was the Iraqi minister for research and higher education. Now, Bill, I
might be lying, huh? I know right where they are.
Right? It was personal. I felt it was personal. I was in research and higher education. He really has it on his desk. This guy's prepared.
Yep. You got to find it first.
Yeah, I thought I knew exactly what drawer it was in.
It's listed on Wikipedia. I found it through Wikipedia. So all the different cards values are listed. And if people look up Wikipedia, the Iraqi playing cards and the 4 of Hearts, it's the minister for research in for research and higher education. Now, I think to be fair, she might have been captured but she's not dead. yet, but it's a she, and her profile fits mine. So, you know, but anyway, so here's what happened. I get the death threat on the 21st or 22nd of July. 21st of July, the Sunday.
Huh.
And then I find the Ace of Spades on the 8th or 9th of September. And we basically wrote a letter and sent it addressed to Trump and his Secret Service detail leader. That's the guy who stood next to him on the stage at Butler. That's the guy in the iconic photo on the right-hand side.
The body man.
Sorry?
The body man.
Yes,
They call it
exactly.
the body man.
We have a sign outside my front yard with that picture.
Make America great.
Captured one.
This election season, I went to town with
Do you have neighbors? May I
Hold up
ask?
his hand.
May I ask? Do you have neighbors?
Yes.
Yes, they are all Republicans here.
Yep.
When I go around town, people
Won't say anything.
people congratulate me. They're also pleased that Trump got elected, and they all seen my sign, so they know that they can happily approach me and talk about that. But
we also had big flowing banners hanging on our front porch. Trump 2024.
Yeah, but it's all my doing. In Europe, we don't.
She did it all. Yeah.
In Europe, we don't have political advertising, and this time I felt so passionate. I said to Bill, "I'm going to town with this."
Well, I did find something that I've been missing for a while.
Well, now you're ready for them, Bill.
Yeah, I'm ready.
What's up?
All I have to do when he starts coming through the door, I got to call Bill real fast. Bill, where'd I put that weapon? Just hold on a minute.
Look for the 4 hearts, Bill.
I'd just about given up. Saddam. Okay, you're interested in the 4 of Hearts. Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research. You're right. Actually, I bought 3 of these decks. I gave one each to my brother and my sister, and they just kind of looked at it and went, "What? What's it?" I'm sure it hit the trash the next day. Oh, it's too good.
You will find it, but otherwise people can find it on Wikipedia. But here's the thing. So we sent this letter and I posted it with overnight post on the 18th of September. And at the time, Trump was still flying all across the country. So we didn't really know, is he going to stay in Trump Tower?
You just sent him a letter?
Yes, sir. An overnight letter to him and his Secret Service detail leader by name.
Yeah, well, that might have been too good. How'd they get through him? How'd they get through those guys?
Well, that's the thing. It's gonna get even better, Bill.
The gatekeepers.
Yeah. You haven't even heard half of it. So what happened, right? This was just the prelude, okay, the warming up. So we sent this letter and we basically said, look, there's stuff you need to really look at, because from this you can if you use Bill's capabilities, you can unmask the whole network, right? But there's also things he needs to be aware of, because, for example, that golf game with Witkoff, anything that he discussed with Witkoff by any means of communication, unless it was face to face in an electromagnetically shielded shed, it is being captured by NSA, and between 2,000 and 3,000 people can query that. I don't think our president is aware that between 2,000 and 3,000 people can read his communication.
Actually, I think it's probably upwards of 12,000 now, foreigners included.
Yeah.
With appropriate clearances.
Five Eyes stuff, yeah.
Yeah, well, by the appropriate clearances, when you're talking several thousand, you get a lot of eggheads, right?
The last I heard, there were 12,000 analysts using it back in about 2015.
Yeah. So if you want to run a proper investigation and say, the second assassination attempt, the one in the golf course, who could have told this idiot? I mean, apart from his obvious CIA links, because he was a mercenary recruiter for Ukraine, right? I mean, that's CIA work, but that aside from all the stuff that it's CIA written all over his.
Who was
The Ryan Wesley Ruth, the guy who tried to shoot Trump at the golf course in West Palm Beach.
Oh,
So he used to be traveling abroad
yeah, I
to
noticed that. I
recruit
heard
people
that.
for the Ukraine war, right? And he was recruiting Afghan people who were trained in the Afghan war, Afghani men, and from all around the world. Now that is CIA work, I tell you. That's CIA work. So he's a CIA operative, okay? That much is clear. But the question is, beyond that, who were the people, the insiders who could have told him that Trump would be at the golf course, because he was there 12 hours ahead of time. So the numbers I found and published were that he was at the golf course at midnight. Trump was at the golf course, I think, just after 12. So roughly, 12 hours before. But Jesse Waters did one show where he talked about the fact that the Secret Service was only told about this golfing arrangement at 2:30 a.m. Now, why 2:30 a.m.? It's because Trump was traveling home from a rally at night from the West Coast. So he would have probably told his Secret Service leader midair, oh, by the way, tomorrow morning, I'm off golfing, something like that, I assume, right? But if the Secret Service got to know at 2:30 a.m., the guy was already camping out by the golf course.
Why would they bother to tell the truth about what time they knew?
Well,
They knew that was going to impinge on.
of course, right? Of course, right? In a world of prolific lying, what can you rely on? But let's just assume, for the sake of the argument, Secret Service is telling the truth. The thing is that Trump had to arrange it with Witkoff, and I don't think he called Witkoff at 2:30 a.m. Or maybe he did, but I presume it was somehow, a short message, phone call, text message, whatever, right? WhatsApp message the day before on Friday, I presume, right? They both very busy people. Now, if they communicated at all by electronic means, the NSA had it instantly, so that the pool of suspects is between 2,000 and 12,000 people. Any one of them could have told the CIA operative that Trump's going to go golfing next day. So I don't think people realize that that is the reality of the investigation one has to run. It's because otherwise people, of course, suspected the Secret Service or his staff, could be a steward on board of Trump Force One. It could be somebody at Mar-a-Lago. But the thing is, yes, those people too, plus 2 to 12,000 people, right?
Yeah,
Whose names you don't even know.
Let me qualify what I said before, that the 12,000 had access to the general program. This we're talking about is the subset of content on domestic collection, which is a subset of that.
How many do you think have access to that?
Probably
3,000?
at least that many, yeah.
Several thousand suspects.
In all of the agencies. Obama opened it up to all of them because he wanted to have, he had people sprinkled around in all these agencies, and he wanted people to feed him information, So if they looked into all this stuff in NSA in their databases, fine. But that's the way you can get them all, okay? Every time they do that, it's recorded. So all that stuff is recorded, and all that's.
Oh, so I mean, you're looking for commonality between the two different events. You're going to get.
It's like a diff program. You simply put the networks together and do a diff.
Come on in.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, just do a diff on the programs. A difference. Kind of, what's the difference between the two sets?
Diff is a Unix command that compares two files, two databases, to whatever for commonalities and differences. So yeah, but people need to Trump needs to realize that in order to actually find out who tried to kill him, he has to get into these databases. He basically needs to take control of NSA. Right, that's the thing. Because so far he has Kash Patel for FBI, great. I like that choice. But this is just like skimming the surface, Even if he got all his nominations and they were the best they could possibly be, well, they have an entire organization, cancerous organization they have to rely on. And then there's NSA,
It's the enabler of all of this bullshit.
But now comes the next story. Let's get back to Christopher Wray here. So we send these letters on the 8th. I posted them on the 8th of September. from the local UPS station overnight, registered, everything. A few hours after, and oh, by the way, the letter didn't just make reference to the assassination attempts. We also said, by the way, Mr. President and dear Secret Service, you should also be aware of these directed energy weapons, the non-consensual implants. All of them are actually relevant to the Secret Service, even though they don't maybe know it, because they would be the prime target of who to implant. Okay. Now, there has been.
Target of what?
They would be the prime targets to implant with microchips, like Bill has them and like I have them, right? With actual, hang on, I've got the book here with the sophisticated bio implants that are photographed in Dr. Hildegard Staninger's book, right? Global brain chip and mesogens. These are biotechnology implants that you can use to affect people in various ways, right? Now, there's some.
We should say that these things had a melting point of 300 degrees taken out of the bottom.
Okay, I mean,
that's just a technical point, says this is not part of the human body.
Yeah, this is self-assembling nanotechnology, and Dr. Hildegard Staninger does scientific testing on the implants that have been with the scientific results published on a couple of implants that were removed from American victims. So this stuff is real. There's very many ways to prove it, but that aside, so covert non-consensual implants are a real threat, but so are directed energy weapons. Now, all the assassination attempts so far were using conventional weapons, rifles, handguns, that sort of stuff. When we get to directed energy weapons, they don't even leave bullet holes. People collapse silently, dead next to you, and you don't even know where the shot came from. You don't hear it, you don't see it. People just go poof, dead.
Well, then why are you two still walking around?
Well, I survived an assassination attempt on the 9th of November with just a directed energy weapon that nearly knocked me out. So it's just a matter of time, though. Enjoy us while we're still here. Right? Yeah.